sure you stick around to the end for the one really important tip that can make your life looking at the VIX chart a whole lot easier. Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Flexion Joe. I'm back with a little EDU video tonight, and today I want to talk about the VIX and how I use the VIX to help me with NQ and ES trades. So specifically, the VIX helps me stay out of potentially bad trades or losing trades, exit winning trades before the market really pulls back against me or it just turns over completely. Also to help me enter trades with more conviction. So let's start by looking at today. Today is Thursday, October 10th, 2024. Difficult day to trade. You see NQ and ES both had this big knife down here following the CPI print. Really a lot of chop, right? So the confusing part, was where you had conflicting sentiment. Using the candle by candle strategy that Maple Stacks has taught us. He's talked about it on his Twitter, on his X page many times. He talks about it in his private Discord group. But this candle by candle strategy just shows who's really in control. And if they're, if the bears are closing below the prior candle's low, then they're in control. If the bulls are closing above the prior candle's high, then the bulls are in control. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So let's look at off of the open, candle by candle bearish on NQ. It had flipped bullish on ES, just barely, right? But not over this, just barely over this, which alludes to a fake out. A lot of times after a big move, we're going to retrace to VWAP. That's exactly what happened. And candle by candle was bullish on VIX. Now, this just works in the opposite. So when it's bullish on VIX, it's bearish for the market. When it's bearish on VIX, it's bullish for the market, okay? So bullish continues to be bullish, right? You get a weak CBC flip here off of VWAP. Right, closing right at the 10-minute 200 EMA, and you're still CBC long on the VIX, and ES flip back short. So these two are in agreement that it's a short. This one does flip down and close as a short trade, but when it does that, and you can see it's a pre-market low sweep on both ES and NQ. You don't short the whole, right? You've already just broken a big pivot. That's not the place for you to go short if that's a short trade or short scalp you're looking for. Immediately, you get a massive rejection right here on the VIX. One little key thing I want to highlight on the VIX, and we're just going to go back just a little bit to the day prior. You see this gap right here? See how it filled this gap real quick? Like there was initially a gap down. It filled this little gap, and gaps like to be filled. All right, so once this gap was filled, it wicked through it and it rejected, like came up into the gap, wicked through it, and it started to drop hard. And that was, something you could observe as that 10-minute candle was printing, that it was a strong rejection on a different drawings that I had it already marked. So from there, with the candle by candle flipping short, you're waiting for a candle by candle flip long on the indexes, but they were just so choppy that they didn't present you with a lot of good trading opportunities, and you needed to sit and wait. Once you had all three in alignment right here at 11:10 a.m., where CBC flips short on the VIX, that's bullish, flips long here, and flips long here, all three are in alignment. When I have all three in alignment, there's much greater probability for a trade to be successful. And that's what I've back tested and found, and that's what the point of this video is when you have all three in alignment. So from there, you can see, NQ pushes up higher, never flips back until the top. ES pushes higher, right? And at this point, you should already be in. Now you have a little bit of a flip here and sort of a fake out, right? This flipping, in this right here, gives you a pullback, but when they close, right, it really looks like it's potentially an orb low break and base on VIX. And what we would want it to have seen is for this to trail off more. So this flips here, closes right on the 20 EMA. They're starting to spread out a little bit. And that gives me conviction that, hey, even though this one is flipped, I'm already in the long. I can stay in the long, right? Just so long as it doesn't flip and then continue to push upwards from here. The next candle pushes back down, and you can see you get a strong move up on both ES and NQ. And this isn't like my favorite example of this because this was so choppy, but the whole market was real choppy today. So you can just use this as a guide. What I want to point out though is this right here, because ultimately, you know, price action is king, right? The price action on NQ was a strong move down, okay, following previous day high pivot break. So when you have this strong move down and the candle by candle flip short against you, right? Now look at the VIX, it's also flipping back long and it failed to make another low. So you're putting in higher lows on the VIX, which is bullish for VIX, but bearish for the market, right? So see the structure is pointing against entering a long trade pullback. We're here. You're long here, but now you have ES and ES doesn't quite flip it. It closes back above. So this being the candle where the other two flipped right here, have them all marked. This being the candle right here, the same time frame, although it might say slightly different times, 1224, 1225. It's the candle that closes at 1230 Eastern. Now I know I'm VIX CBC long, right? And same thing, like it pushes up into the orb low, but it's coming off of a higher low setup. So I need to see it flip back if I'm going to be able to take the long trade, which it doesn't give you. But at this point, this flipped short and this one also moved down and came back up. It wasn't able to turn back green, which is concerning, right? It could keep you out of trying an ES long. Now, if you tried it right here and you just bought it at 34, it did give you 4 points to scale at, you know, which $200 per contract isn't a bad trade, but it's not probably the continuation you were hoping for a, you know, a nice bullish trend day. We really shouldn't have expected a bullish trend day, especially from here, because you failed to break the CPI high before having such a negative reaction, which tells you that there's sellers still sitting here. And then on NQ, you have to understand the price action. You already broke the pivot, right? So you broke the previous day high and then you rejected over. So it shows you where sellers are still sitting here. So use them in conjunction and put the three of them together, and you can see how it pans out. All right, so let's look at another day, another potentially choppy day, and see how you could have used VIX to your advantage. Obviously, this is a news day. You can see that there's a big move here at 8:30. And then, you know, what's kind of telling here is this flip into the open. So going into the open right here after you make this double doji setup here on NQ, and then, you know, potentially start trailing off here after your pre-market high here on ES, right? You get this VIX flip long. So this is bearish for the market. 2 candles later, you have NQ also showing bearish for the market on this flip. Same thing with ES. Now all three are in line. So what that tells me when all three are in line at the open is that I would want to sell a pop. And you can see on both of these, if you sold the pop up into or around the prior candle's high, which is the CBC flip candle, the candle by candle flip candle, right? Which is showing you bears are regaining control. If you sold that pop in there, you can see how that was really, in terms of the biggest move, the trade of the day, right? So that can be really helpful using the VIX going into the open, understanding, wait a second, if VIX is long and these two are short, this is a short play, right? So I shouldn't be looking, and again, it's fine if you did, because you can see it did push up here, right? Like buying in here at 189, 190s still gave you a 40-point move on NQ. That's $800 a contract. But that wasn't the ideal trade to take, because you're waiting for bulls to regain control, or the safest trade, right? So now when you see here, if we move a little bit later, this was at 1040, you see that the bulls reclaim, right? And there was lots of buying off the 10-minute 200. It made sense here. You can actually see that ES also flipped at the exact same time, right? And then buying any sort of pullback in here worked for a bit. Then once it flipped, all three flipped, and you knew you shouldn't be looking for a long anymore, right? Even on this drop down, you shouldn't be trying to look for a long because it closes bearish and VIX closed bullish, which is bearish for the market. So all of them are the same. Again, you get another candle by candle flip here, right? And this is where VIX was first. VIX flips short first, which is bullish for the market. Then next, you got the candle by candle flip on ES and NQ. So, and then those pullbacks for longs end up working. And why do they end up working well, right? Because even though VIX is retracing, it's still not flipping this candle by candle back to bullish. It doesn't flip it back bullish here until 1250, right? And you can see at 1250, it gives you a little bit of a warning, right? but you could have an orb low break in base and it pushes into the EMAs and they just sort of chop, right? And then again, so this is just like a cautionary note, like, hey, this flip back bullish, which is bearish for the market, I need to be really careful with my pullbacks. They might go further against me or become losing trades altogether. So that's what would help keep me out of, do I want to buy this pullback for the long here, right? Or is this going to look like it's going to round over and pull back further? But then if we skip ahead a little bit, you see you get this big pop here on VIX, CBC flips back short on NQ, ES, and they just start like chopping. And sometimes you get this little bit of divergence, and I'm just full transparency. I'm not trying to tell you this is a strategy that works at all times. You get a little bit of divergence, but that's where the strategy does work, because if I have divergence, then I know I just need to sit out, right? Because I'm going to have my best trades when they're in line. Look what happens when they line back up right here at 1410, right? 1410, VIX flips short. So you can see putting in a lower high. Okay, if VIX is putting in a lower high, that's bullish for the market. Now, 1420, long flip on NQ, continuously short on VIX. That again is, pullbacks to buy. Right here, you look 1420, same time. ES flips long. So your bulls are in control now. Bulls are in control here. Bulls are in control here, right? Because this is the opposite. And all three are in line, and look how that continues up throughout the rest of the day. VIX never flips, and Q never flips, ES never flips. So this is how you could use it to stay into a trade, because all three are in alignment. You can keep staying in, right? So check that out. Go back and back test it yourself. See how it works in conjunction and doesn't work, and try it out for yourself before you just go ahead and start taking trades off of it. One last tip that I've got for you is if you're on TOS, you can put a minus sign in front of that, and it will actually flip VIX to look like the market. So what you could do, instead of having to think about, oh, VIX needs to be short and these two need to be long if I'm trying to go long, you can just say, hey, they all need to be showing me the same thing, right? And if they were, you would see, inverse VIX short, inverse VIX, ES and NQ short. So it's a short play. I want to take a short. The only problem with this is drawing levels, and it can be a little bit wacky, because if you have any levels drawn, like for example, like if I draw a level here, and then I flip it back, because it's going to show a negative number. If I flip it back, see how that level's not there anymore? Because it's only on the inverse. So just keep that in mind, okay? But I appreciate you all for watching. Please give the video a like, as I probably took 18 attempts to make it. And don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Appreciate you for watching.